Hey guys, today I'm gonna be playing. I'm not gonna be playing. I'm gonna be reacting to Jack D films and rating them 1 to 10. Let's get it.
When a taser is fired, two darts shoot towards you with copper wires connecting them to the gun. And when the darts pierce your skin, it creates a circuit. This causes a battery inside the taser to send electricity through the wires. And when it reaches you, the shock makes your muscles contract uncontrollably, which paralyzes you until the taser is turned off. But if police spray you with tear gas first, it can stick to your clothes. And if they use a taser on you, the electric charge could ignite the gas, causing you to burst into flames.
I rate that one like an 8 out of 10. That's actually making me more smart. Second one.
He thought taking a bath would make him sick, so for over 60 years he refused to wash, saying the dirt kept him healthy. Instead, he left his home and dug a shallow hole to sleep in. He ate only roadkill and smoked animal poop out of a pipe. And instead of cutting his hair, he burned it over a fire. Over the years, he became the dirtiest man in the world, until someone finally convinced him to take a bath, and he died shortly after.
How would you die after taking a bath and you stink? But anyways, I give that a 4 out of 10. That's disgusting.
The fire was lit beneath a sealed cauldron, boiling the water inside. And this caused steam to build, which pushed hard against the walls. It traveled up through pipes on the sides and into a metal sphere, and was released out through two curved pipes sticking out in opposite directions of the sphere, forcing it to spin in circles as the steam was released. Now, this was used in Rome just as a trick to impress crowds, centuries before anyone realized it could actually power machines. The fire was lit beneath.
That's smart, so I'm gonna give it a 9. That's just smart, that's a smart. I don't know how to explain it, but another one.
He found the injured fish on the ocean floor, and instead of letting it die, he fed it crabs every day. He gave it gentle kisses on its head as it slowly recovered. When it finally healed, the man watched it swim away, thinking this was his goodbye. But the next day, he noticed a familiar shape coming closer. Seconds passed as they looked at each other. Then the fish rushed over, bumping itself against his hand so he could pet it. 30 years later, whenever he goes down to dive, the fish is still there to greet his old friend. He found...
That's nice, bro. That's actually that's
As he
that one right there was I don't know, a 6. Oh my.
As he chatted with the stranger, two people carrying a door walked between them, blocking his view. The stranger quickly swapped places with someone else. The new person picked up the conversation as if nothing changed, and the man didn't even notice. And 7 out of 15 people never realized they were talking to a completely different person. In another test, people watched someone leave money on a table and walk out. Then another person came in, stole the money, and left. But as she turned a corner, a different woman took her place. Barely anyone noticed it was a different person, and about 25% of them identified the wrong woman in a lineup, proving just how unreliable our memories can be.
Yep. We actually need memory, bro. Yep, we actually do need memory. I can rate that an 8 out of 10, bro. That shows us how important it actually is.
As he drove, the car's AI scanned his face and flashed red, warning him to wake up. He was confused because he wasn't sleeping.
This is the thing. Is either that he's actually sleep. Oh, it said he's not asleep. It's either that he's tired and he's either squinting his eyes, or is he's from Asia, he's like that.
Sleeping and tried sitting up straighter to look less tired. But nothing worked until he forced his eyes to open super wide. When he let them go back to normal, the alarm rang again. going off 20 times during the trip. You
20?
see, the AI was designed to beep whenever it couldn't see the iris. But the man naturally had heavy eye folds, which are when the eyelid's skin and fat overlap near the nose, forming a smooth flap that covers part of his iris, making the AI think he was sleeping. As he drove, the they designed this.
No, I'll rate that like a 6 out of 10, bro. It kind of feels different. No, it kind of feels like, I don't know how to say. It kind of feels like, it feels wrong. That's what I was supposed to say.
To have two heads, one in the front and one in the back. You see, years earlier, a big rig caught fire in the middle of a 7-mile-long tunnel. This quickly caused a traffic jam, blocking fire trucks from entering, and the blaze lasted over 2 days, killing 39 people and injuring 11 others. To stop this from happening again, the two-headed fire truck was invented. 2 drivers control it from either cabin, allowing it to drive in either direction without reversing. It can even crab walk through traffic, meaning it can enter tight spaces and put out fires before it's too late. He loaded each of the 24.
I'll rate that like a 6 out of 10. Like, two-headed, I don't get it. Like, what if like it's really narrow? Like, what if the space is really small? It's a traffic jam. There's not gonna be much space.
Barrels, added a trail of gunpowder, and aimed it out of the window, waiting to assassinate the king as he passed below. He then lit the gunpowder, which fired all the guns at once. The force blew apart the guns and tore the man's face and hands as the bullets rained down on the villagers, even hitting the king's horse in the neck. But the king was barely scratched on his forehead, and the man was soon captured for his crime. He loaded.
That's stupid, trying to kill a king, bro. Why does people want, like, famous people dead? Like, what did they do? It's either that you're jealous or that you're just, like, dumb in the head. Because, like, why would you want to kill a celebrity? I give that a 3.
If you slide your cup side to side fast, you can catch just the syrup, making your drink taste super sweet. You see, when you push the button, gas pressure turns on behind the wall, and a pump sucks syrup from a sealed bag inside a cardboard box, causing it to slowly move through a plastic tube toward the nozzle. At the same time, cold water flows into a metal tank, and carbon dioxide is forced in under pressure, trapping tiny bubbles inside the water. Then, in separate tubes, the syrup and carbonated water flow into the nozzle. Inside, the fizzy water sprays through tiny holes, spreading into a mist, and the syrup shoots into that mist as they leave the nozzle. But if you time it just right, you can skip most of the water and catch the syrup before it blends in.
But will it even taste good? Will the syrup even taste good? I'm drinking like diet Coca-Cola. I feel water first before the sweetness. I give that a 6 out of 10, bro. I'd rather have water, like at least a little bit of water in my thing. Every drink I at least put either milk or water.
If you murder someone and then confess the murder to a priest, they cannot tell anyone, ever. You see, it's called the seal of confession, and breaking it will get you kicked out of the church forever. But what if you confess that you're about to kill the priest's own mother? Well, the priest still has to stay silent. He can't warn her, can't call the police. He can't even sit outside her house to protect her, because any action could reveal what he heard. But what if a priest does break the seal of confession, and then confesses that to another priest? Well, that second priest also can't tell anyone, because now that confession is sealed too. If you murder someone, and then how fast would an
Why would you even want to kill someone, bro? I'll give that like a 1 out of 10. I'm not doing any of that, bro.
Unbreakable merry-go-round need to spin to liquefy your brain. While a
Ugh.
normal person can push one at around 9 miles per hour, fast enough to make you dizzy, but not deadly. To reach deadly speeds, you would need to attach a jet engine to the side. You would then have to strap yourself in to keep from flying off. It would spin fast enough to generate over 50,000 Gs of force.
No. You see how he's like that? I remember one time in 4th of July in the carnivals, like in 2023 when I was like a little kid. I remember in one of the fast rides, my head was like literally at my left shoulder. Like it was like that. Like I tried to pick it up, nah, it went back right there until the whole ride was done. I actually feel that, bro.
That's enough to rupture blood vessels
Ah,
and
la,
snap
la.
bones. Your brain would slam into the side of your skull over and over until the tissue tears apart from the inside and eventually becomes fully liquefied.
Ah, imagine somebody trying to drink your brain. How would a human brain? Would it just taste like blood? Well, it actually tastes. I give that a 0 out of 10, bro. I'm not even rating that one. Yeah, I feel this one. Like it's interesting, but like it is weird. Like it feels weird. Who wants to like have their brain liquefied?
The bones are carefully removed from the chicken, which is then seasoned and stacked on a duck. Then the duck is rolled up and placed on top of the turkey, and any extra spaces are filled with stuffing. Next, the edges of the turkey are sewn shut, while tightly wrapped strings hold the meat together. It's roasted for several hours at a low temperature to cook evenly. And as it heats up, the fat melts and the flavors combine. Finally, the turducken is carved, revealing the layers of meat inside. The bones.
That looks good. I'm gonna give that a 10 out of 10. I actually eat a lot, bro.
He got in, and the barrel fell from 180 feet as the crowd watched. You see, the year before, he had performed a similar stunt over Niagara Falls and survived.
That's dumber than dumb. Hear me out. Hear me out. First off, no, like if you're gonna try something deadly, and you did it the first time, you actually survived. Like, bro, there was at least a 1% chance of you living that with the hole open. Okay.
So he set up a pool inside a massive stadium, fully convinced he could cheat death again. But as he landed, the barrel hit the side of the pool and the impact crushed his chest, belly, and fractured his skull. Assistants had to cut him out before medics could reach him. But his injuries were too severe, and he died later that night. When you crack your knuckle, the space in between the
Oh wait, I was on mute, bro. I didn't know. Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me. So
he got
so this one, I don't know if you guys got to heard that one, but I said this one is stupider than stupid. If I get to do one dangerous thing, what makes me do dangerous thing again? That's actually stupid.
when you crack your knuckle, the space in between
Hold on, let me crack my knuckles. I'm sorry for keep on it. Like, hold up. I cracked this one.
The joint stretches, and this drops the pressure, forming gas bubbles that suddenly pop and make that satisfying crack sound. But the bubbles take about 30 minutes to come back, which is why it's impossible to crack the same knuckle twice in a row. And if you use too much force, you might just press on the wrong spot and dislocate your finger.
Oh, no. I give that a 10 out of 10, bro. I always crack my knuckles. Math, science, writing, I don't know, lunch. I don't know. I always do it. I always crack my knuckles, even at the back. Okay.
His stomach grew into a potbelly over time, so he exercised regularly and didn't drink beer to try and get rid of it. But even after losing 34 pounds, it was still there. Doctors told him it was nothing, but he demanded a full-body scan, and they found a 30-pound tumor wrapped around his kidney. It took 6 hours of surgery to remove it, along with the kidney, but he fully recovered. His stomach grew into a potbelly.
Bro's actually smart for to ask. He demanded for a full body scan. Bro, if he said no, he would have been stuck with that. If he would have said, okay, I'm not gonna do it, bro. He's actually smart. Next one.
If you only had one battery left and needed to turn on a flashlight, you could tear off a strip of foil, fold it until it's the same size as the battery, and roll it with your fingers until it's round. Then place the working battery at the positive end of the flashlight with the foil roll at the negative end. You see, electricity needs to have a continuous path in order to work. So when you close the battery compartment and press the switch, the foil completes the circuit, letting the electricity flow from the battery to the light bulb and turning your flashlight back on. If you only had...
Yep. Hold up. So, that's actually survivable. I'm gonna give that an 8.
He found a shoe on the beach,
Ew!
picked it up,
Ew!
and realized there was a rotting foot still inside.
Ew!
And soon, dozens of other feet started appearing on the beach. Now, people thought it was a serial killer with some weird obsession,
Ew.
or a plane crash that somehow chopped off a bunch of feet. Others even thought it was the work of aliens. But when they tested the DNA, they linked it to people who had reportedly drowned. You see, bodies sink as they decompose, but the soles on sneakers float in water. So when the body breaks down and the feet detach from the ankles, the shoe floats them up before they wash up on the beaches.
Oh, that's so disgusting. I'll give that a 3, bro.
The wild pigs all gather around the bait that is sitting beneath a huge metal ring hanging in the air. It's fitted with a live camera that sends an alert to the farmer's phone. And once he makes sure all the boars are inside the trap, he presses the button and the ring drops, snapping into a full circle around the entire herd. You see, in traditional traps, one boar bumps into a tripwire. Then the gate slams shut, trapping only the few that made it inside, while the rest escape into the woods. And those survivors teach the others to avoid that trap forever, meaning most of the herd keeps growing faster than they can be stopped. This device fixes that by waiting until every pig is inside before the trap is triggered.
I give that a 6 out of 10, bro. That's actually smart, but like, you can just use something bigger, right?
If you went blind, your brain would start taking in signals from your eyes. But in rare cases, your brain could just make up images instead. You might think you're pouring into a glass while spilling it across the table, or step forward on what looks like solid ground only to fall down. They shove
I'm skipping that one. I'll give that an 8, by the way.
Tube down its throat, then pump it full of food. And they do this 3 times a day, forcing up to a pound of food down its throat each time. Now, this is done to quickly fatten the duck's liver before killing them and cooking the organ. But the tube can choke them until they suffocate or even rip holes in their food pipe. And since it's way too much food, they struggle to walk, which is why this practice is now illegal in some countries.
Oh, that's good. I'm not gonna write that one.
He fled from police after shoplifting and
Oh,
hid
I've
in a
seen this.
stranger's house, where a 9-year-old boy was home alone. The man started searching for car keys while the boy escaped, but police soon surrounded the house. And over the next 19 hours, a SWAT team launched grenades, fired gas rounds, and drove an armored truck through the doors. Finally, the suspect was arrested, but when the family returned,
Go inside
they
the
found
house.
the house completely destroyed. The city refused to pay for the damage, and even though they sued, the judge said they deserved nothing.
If I was a judge, I would have given them like $500,000 at the least.
She dove off the dock, but a broken cord from a nearby boat leaked electricity into the water. It
no
rushed
way.
into her and froze
No
her
way.
body mid-swim, slowly killing her as she sank.
She
into
couldn't
the
move?
ocean. You see, bad wiring on boats spreads electrical currents in the water like
Oh,
an invisible
no.
net. And even the tiniest shock could paralyze your muscles and
No.
body, which would quickly make you drown. So even if it looks safe, you should never swim near a docked boat. They
Nope.
attached the wires to the ferret before sending it running through a pipe, carrying a trail of cables behind it. You see, they wanted to host the concert at the Royal Park, but the pipes underneath were too long to push the cables through with rods. And they weren't allowed to dig up the ground, so they just brought in some ferrets. You see, ferrets naturally hunt in underground tunnels, so they used meat to guide them as they threaded the wires throughout the park, just in time to save the New Year's Eve concert. They attached the shopping mall rose on every side of her small house, leaving it surrounded by concrete walls and cranes. You see, developers
She doesn't even have a backyard?
had offered her $1 million to
Bro, somebody offered, like, if it's a mall around my house, like around, I have nothing, just living there, and they said they'll give me $1 million, just 1 million? No, just give me like 10 million. At least 2 million, at least 5 million. I could move out then.
sell her house so they could build the mall, but she refused, saying she wouldn't move for any price. So they just built it around her. Soon her house became famous, and fans tattooed it on their skin as a symbol of determination. Now, the project manager stopped by often to check on construction, then just to check on her. They became friends. He brought her groceries and listened to her stories. She told him about spying on Nazis and even meeting Hitler himself.
What?
No one knows how much of it was true, but he said her spirit was. And when she finally passed away, she left the house to him. The shopping mall rose on
The movie Up. No, that's the mom. That's the grandma from the movie Up. What? Wait, so he was Russell, basically? What's his name, Russell? I haven't watched that movie in a while.
They stuffed the rifle in between sandbags and tied 2 tins to the top and bottom, connecting the trigger to the lower one. Then they filled the top can with water before poking holes in it. And as the water dripped down, it slowly filled the bottom tin. The growing weight pulled on the rope, building tension until it finally yanked the trigger. This fired the gun, while the sandbag kept it in place. You see, the soldiers used this to trick the enemy into thinking the battle was still going on as they quietly slipped away. They stuffed the rifle in between sandbags.
That's smart. That's a 10, bro. That's actually smart.
As the soda went into the cup, it flowed through a funnel and into a plastic tube that ran down his sleeve. and it drained into a secret reservoir in his bag. You see, Baja Blast was only sold in Taco Bells, so he came up with a plan and posted it online. And that's when other users jumped in to help. They offered tweaks and improvements to the device until they had perfected the design together. He cut a hole in the bottom of the cup and used the tubing to connect it to the sealed container. While the empty cup looked normal from the outside, with a few refills, he stole gallons of soda without anyone noticing. Then he posted the video online, where it spread across the internet as Operation Soda Steal. As the soda went
Yo, that's a 5, bro. You're that broke that you had to steal. That's just a 5.
they stuffed as the soda. If you pour water
That is
into a
that
hammer
is kind of cool
mold,
though.
freeze it, peel it out, and then try to hit a nail, it will shatter right away. Instead, use a mallet mold to spread the weight more evenly. Next, tear up a paper towel to spread on the bottom. This makes a mesh that holds the ice layers together. After that, stuff in cotton balls, which helps give the ice a sturdy structure. And lay 2 strings down the length of the hammer to keep the handle connected to the head. Finally, if you top it off with one more layer of paper towels before pouring in the water, you'll end up with a sturdy hammer that can crush a jawbreaker. If you pour water,
Yup, I'm
into
trying
a
that, bro.
ham-
I'm trying
they
that.
pulled the painting off the wall and found a hidden room. But what they saw inside horrified them. You see, weeks earlier, a man tried calling his brother, and when a complete stranger picked up the phone,
What?
he immediately knew something was wrong. His neighbor also saw people going into the house with cleaning supplies.
What?
So he called the police. They went in, finding multiple homeless men living in his house.
What the-
Before uncovering the secret room with a single fish tank. Inside was the man's body.
What
without
the-
his head or his hands. The police arrested 2 of the homeless men, but they were later released. And to this day, no one knows.
It's either the homeless man or it's the homeless man. Brian Egg. Hold on, let me search him up. Brian. Egg. That was him. Hold up. This was him. Why is homeless people always doing this, bro? Bro, you should have went to school and actually been listening.
A wire
That's a 2 out of 10, bro.
is carefully looped around the flea's tiny body using tweezers. Then the harness is tied to a cart, and every time the flea moves, the toy goes with it. On stage, the crowd would watch wagons roll and wheels spin, as if the fleas are trained performers. Now, some circuses would use glue to stick small instruments on the fleas. Then they would heat them up, causing them to squirm around to try and escape, which made it look like they were playing the instruments. A wire is
Oh, that's cool, bro. Yeah, bro, I give that a 9.
carefully looped around. Alexander the Great's body was sealed
Uh.
inside the tomb, but he may have still been alive. You see,
What?
he should have decomposed, but as his body sat for 6 days before the funeral, some say it stayed perfectly preserved. Now, at the time, people thought this meant he was a god, but today, some scientists think he became totally paralyzed before they pronounced him dead, meaning he might not have been dead at all. Instead, he could have suffocated in his tomb, or been cut open and had his organs removed as they embalmed him. Alexander the Great.
I give that a
They
7.
would yank the blood-sucking creature off the fish, then stab its brain before squeezing out its blood. The blood would be boiled with red wine to make a sauce, while the rest of the lamprey was baked. It was then served to royalty, covered in the blood sauce. And this dish was eaten on Christmas Eve, when Christians weren't allowed to eat meat. You see, lamprey is fatty and meaty, even though it's technically a fish, making it a perfect loophole for rich people who wanted to eat meat when they shouldn't. They would yank the blood.
That's a 0 out of 10, bro.
He
like stab the
pressed the
brain.
controls super fast and beat the same game for the 100th time. Now, he really wanted the new game, but it was just way too expensive. He got a text from his girlfriend, Mary. Let's not do gifts this year and just save our money instead. Sound good? He glanced at her camera on the shelf.
Oh, he's gonna break it.
Slipped from her hands weeks ago, causing a crack in the lens. And every photo she took since had a line running right through the middle. He really wanted to get her a new lens for Christmas, which means he needed extra cash. First, he walked dogs around the city. Then, he went around the neighborhood, shoveling snow. He delivered food throughout the night, even skipping meals just to save every dollar. But by Christmas Eve, he still didn't have enough. He looked down at his game console, his favorite thing, and knew what he had to do. He biked through the snow and sold it for just enough to buy Mary the new lens. On Christmas morning, he handed her a small box wrapped in newspaper. She teared up as she lifted it out of the box. Then she smiled and handed him a box of her own. Inside was the new game, the one that he had wanted all year. He was confused. How could she afford this? And that's when he noticed the empty space on the shelf where her camera used to sit. She had sold it, just like he sold his game console. And even though they couldn't use their gifts, they both ended up with something better. He pressed the control.
Yo, that's actually W. That's a 9, bro. That's a 9, bro. That's wholesome. You really sold your valuable thing for your girl, bro. That's Riz.
He
That's
got
Oro.
into the shell, and the dome was locked in place. As he turned the head, R2-D2 did the same, but turning too far choked him with wires, so he had to be careful with his movements. They swapped in a smaller remote-controlled robot for scenes where R2 rolled in the swamps, while puppeteers used hidden wires to yank it around for complicated scenes, creating the illusion of a robot that's alive. He got into the shell. They loaded thousands of Christmas trees and set sail, even though a dangerous storm was coming. You see, he was known as Captain Santa, and he would set sail across the lake to deliver Christmas trees to waiting families. But this time, snow started falling, and the waves rocked the ship. The captain began to panic, raising a distress flag. A rescue boat was launched, but the trees were too heavy, and the ship sank before anyone could arrive. Captain Santa drowned along with 9 other crew members. Christmas trees washed ashore for weeks after, and to this day, the Christmas trees still lay at the bottom of Lake Michigan. They loaded thousands of Christmas.
I mean, I could just find that, but like, I do not know how to drive.
His plane was shot, and plastic shards from the windshield tore into his eyes. Now, at the hospital, the surgeon noticed something strange. You see, injuries like these usually cause swelling as your body tries to get rid of the foreign objects. But the plastic pieces didn't activate his immune system, meaning they could stay in his body for a long time without any harm. Now he figured if he could put this kind of plastic in someone's eyes, he could replace their damaged lens, curing their blindness. And he eventually invented the first permanent contacts. Now millions of people can see again, all thanks to one pilot's injury.
W, bro. If I had to be real, my sister also has contacts, though. W. That's W.
The enemy bullet sliced right through his chin strap, knocking the helmet off his head. They were trapped in trenches just a few hundred feet apart, fighting each other for weeks on end. He had stopped thinking of them as men. They were just targets in the dark. But one day, for some reason, the gunfire stopped. For the first time in weeks, everything was still. In the quiet, he remembered what day it was, Christmas Eve. He lifted a lantern above the trench and began to sing a Christmas song.
I think I read this book before.
From across the field, another voice joined in. then more.
Drop your guns.
Enemy voices on both sides, all singing along. He stood up, climbed out of the trench, and stepped into the battlefield. Slowly, soldiers from both sides started to follow. They met in the middle, shaking hands on the ground right where their fellow soldiers had previously died. Some started sharing chocolate and showing photos of their families. They played football, traded souvenirs, and told each other stories. They even posed for photos together, because for once, they finally saw each other not as enemies, but as fellow men. When dawn broke, the lanterns burned out and orders came down the line. The Christmas truce was over. He returned to his trench, gripping the same rifle, and across the field, the men he had sung with the night before raised their guns too. The enemy bullet if you hold
Yo, that's like a 3 out of 10. No,
a
I'm
balloon
just
over a
saying.
candle, the flame will weaken the rubber and it'll pop instantly. But if you fill the balloon with water and lower it over the flame, the heat goes into the water instead of staying in the rubber. Then the water spreads the heat out before it can build up in one spot, acting like a shield around the rubber. This means the rubber never gets hot enough to melt, so the water-filled balloon does not pop. If you hold a balloon
I
over
might try that. I might try that.
They hid the poison inside a fake perfume bottle and put it on his door handle to kill him on contact. But the man was quickly taken to the hospital before the poison killed him. So they tossed the bottle into the trash. But months later, a man found it in a donation bin and gave the bottle to his partner. She sprayed it on her wrists and the poison seeped into her skin, eventually shutting down her organs and killing her 8 days later.
Wow, that's sad, bro. We're gonna do 3 more videos, then I'm done.
Is skinned,
Sorry.
and the hide is scraped clean. Next, tree bark is soaked in water until it turns dark. Then the hide is dropped in. The natural acids from the bark slowly bind to the skin, which stops it from decomposing. Over the next few weeks, the hide is moved through stronger solutions, and each new solution binds more acids to the proteins in the skin, which toughens the fibers. At the same time, it dyes the skin, making it darker. And when it's done, the leather is strong, durable, and resistant to rot. The animal is skinned.
Wow. I give that an 8.
His friend shot an arrow at the gas canister on his head.
That's stupid.
See,
That's
he had
stupid.
just
That's stupid.
joined
That's
a
stupid.
men's rafting group, and this was part of his initiation.
Drunk
They were both
people.
drunk.
People throwing arrows. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Don't ever do this. Don't actually try this. Shooting it at a canister. Like, how are you balancing that?
The arrow missed the can, hitting him instead. As it shot through his skull, it somehow missed all major blood vessels before coming out the back. And the man stayed conscious the entire time.
Because he was alcoholic,
Doctors
right?
treated him by drilling around the arrowhead and pulling the rest through. And even though he lost his eye, he survived without any brain damage. His friend shot an arrow at the
Dang, that's like, for the stupidity, I give that a 6. But since his aim was actually good, I mean, he missed the whole thing, but he literally missed his cells getting broken up, like, to get. Bro's aim in the inside is good, but in the outside is bad. So I give that like a 7.
They caught the shark and tied the line.
No, I'm
to
gonna
the
do
back
2
of
more
the
after
boat.
this one. I
And
said
as
3
it
more. I
began to
lied.
swim, their boat actually started to move. You see, they had
Ooh.
been lost at sea for weeks after their GPS failed. They drank salt water, ate raw
Ew.
fish, and
Ooh.
fought to stay alive. And when they finally caught the shark, they rigged it up like an engine. And for 3 days, it dragged their boat across the ocean until it finally died. But in the distance, they saw an island. And after 33 days lost at sea, they finally reached
What if it
land.
was a tribe? Bro? You would have been more cooked.
His friend,
Hold
the
on.
animal is They pulled a live eel out of the man's belly.
Ew.
You see, the man had come in complaining of severe pain, and when doctors
I'm gonna
pushed
do
on his
3 more after
abdomen,
this one.
it was rock
After,
hard.
I swear,
When they
that's the
stuck a
last one.
camera inside, they saw the eel, and it was moving. Now, some say this was part of some strange folk cure, but he never said how it actually got in there. They pulled a live eel. She would slide into the chair's hollow frame
Okay.
and hidden panels,
I lied again, sorry.
folding her body tight inside. The magician wheels it out on stage, showing how normal the chair is from all angles. Then he throws the cloth over it and shakes it, letting the woman quickly open the chair and climb out. And just as she gets into position, the magician whips away the cloth, creating the illusion that she appeared from nowhere.
Wow.
Santa's sleigh would need to be larger than the Great Pyramid to hold all of the world's presents. You see, there are about 1 billion kids on Earth, and if each one gets around 3 gifts, and each gift weighs about a pound, there would be 3 billion pounds of presents in total. His 9 reindeer wouldn't stand a chance with this thing, meaning he would need over 7 million. And they would have to fly millions of miles per hour just to meet the deadline. That speed would make the reindeer, Santa, and all the presents vaporize. Santa's sleigh.
Yep. You just messed up. You just messed up Christmas for us, bro. I give that a 2 out of 10. That's a 2.
Santa slip the nail
Last
inside
one.
the claw and wedge it in tight. Then
Last one.
line it up to the right place and give it one sharp hit. This will force the nail to stick in the wood. Now, if you just hold the nail in place, you could easily slip and hit your thumb, which can cause
Yep,
serious injuries.
that happened to me before. I was not doing it too hard, so I had none of my bone. I never had a broken bone.
But
I have a broken nail though.
using the claw method means your fingers are nowhere near the nail. And once it's stuck in the wood, you can hammer it the rest of the way. Slip.
Okay, I rate that like a 8 out of 10. But if you like this video, like and subscribe. If you want to, you could. If you want to like and subscribe, you can do that. If you don't want to, it's okay. But if you watch till the end, you could like and subscribe. How about you do that? I'm not begging, but like, can you? You can do it if you want. It's your choice. But anyways, I'm out.